So it's really interesting to see what the concept of equality and stuff has done to society, and the fact that we allow social planning to come in to try to fix these things. Like, there was a recent study released from the National University of Australia saying that women are overworked, and that the healthy limit for them to work is 34 hours a week, and men should work something like 47 hours a week, and that's healthy for them. And the reason why women can't work as much, it's not because they're different. It's not because women can't handle the same levels of stress that men can in the workforce. It has nothing to do with differences. It's because they have to do extra domestic chores at home, and men don't have to deal with this. And this is the reason why they're more stressed out and anxious and all this shit, which is nonsense, right? Uh, Even with the numbers that they were showing in the study, they're saying women do on average 4.5 hours extra a day with domestic chores, and men do 2 hours a day. So even with those numbers, if you look at the national averages between men and women on the amount of hours they work per week, men work 41, women work 35. So if you do the math, men are still working on average like 3 hours extra a week than women, even with the domestic chores that they are doing. So it's like they don't want to face up to reality, or they're doing it on purpose, and they don't want to let women know that they are never going to be extremely happy in the workforce, because they don't want them to go and have kids. They don't want them to go and actually be happy. They want them to be little tax slaves to keep contributing into the system. So, what are their solutions in this article or in the study? They're like, oh well, we'll try to make it so we give monetary incentive to women to work 38 hours a week, and so they're going to be rewarding less work for that. That is how they're going to solve the situation, which is completely insane. One of the things that could make women probably a lot happier is if they didn't work and actually had kids and did what they were biologically programmed to do. Like, we have been a species evolving for hundreds of thousands of years. Even before that, look at animals. Like, their one prerogative is to mate, to breed, and to have more of themselves. And we have serotonin, which is released in our brain when we have sex. We have tons of these endorphins, which incentivize us to do these things because it makes us happy. And it makes us happy because all species in their DNA want to reproduce, want to make more copies of themselves. So they build these natural, things within them to want them to continue reproducing. So people are wondering, why are women so depressed now? Why are we this? Why are we that? It's because we've moved away from what we are naturally programmed to do. Men are happier working and getting resources and in providing it for their spouses, and women are on average happier raising kids and stuff, and investing their time in that generation, and teaching them things and all this shit like that. This would make people happier, but we're lied to. We're convinced, no, you gotta go work, you gotta do this. And this is all done by fucking Marxists and socialists who just want you to be, like I said, tax slaves. They want you to not have a strong family, so then you are reliant upon the state. The stronger our families are, the less dependent we are on them. So, that's why their solutions they never talk about maybe have just one parent stay home and take care of the kids while another parent works. But yeah, that is increasingly more and more difficult today. But why is that the case? That is the case because of government intervention within our lives, because of the fiat currency, which is constantly inflating and devaluing our currency to the point of absolutely nothing. Like, a lot of these bubbles that are being created by the government, giving these people loans. Like, there's so many reasons as to why it's harder for people to have a stable family today, and these are all socially engineered by the government. So then, what do they come in? They try to shame men, say that they are just advantaged and women are disadvantaged. So what we need to do is take more resources from them, give it to women, and then we're going to make everybody work less. We're going to bring everybody down to the lowest common denominator. And it's like, this is how you destroy your economies. Like, how are you going to be competitive with another country that allows their people to work as long as they want? One of the only things that poor people have to bargain with on the free market is the amount of hours that they can work. So all you're going to be doing is removing more means of economic mobility within your country if you don't allow people to work as long as they want. Like setting some limit. This is just a nanny state. It's like, well, we'll decide how long you can work because we know you can't handle it, right? And if anything, this is more sexist, right? They're looking at all women and they're like, okay, because you're women, you only have to work 34 hours or this many hours, and if you do, we'll give you rewards because you probably have kids at home you got to take care of, and this and that. It's like, maybe they don't. Maybe a lot of them don't have kids, so they're going to get advantaged, and just because you're assuming they're all the same, right? And it's like, maybe you shouldn't have opened your legs a lot of the times and had a kid out of wedlock, and now you're forced to take care of the kid and work because you don't have a husband to stick around to help you. Like, that is another issue too that they're not really talking about, but they're never going to hold women's feet to the fire. They're never going to say anything bad about them because they vote. Women vote. They vote for the left on average, and they vote to expand the state. And this is why the government, leftists, are always throwing things at them, because they do make up a larger percentage than men, right, in most countries. So if you can get them to vote on your side, if you can offer them things, then that is the way to control the country eventually. So who is really in power? It is not men. We are run in a lot of cases by mob rule, and they stir up hatred and resentment between sexes, between races, in order for them to vote for things to take away more of your rights. And this is all it is. This is all this study is. It's propaganda. They're not releasing all the information. They're not showing you the whole picture. They're just showing you a snapshot of it. So it incentivizes you to be for more government redistribution of wealth, right? Which, like I said, is just going to destroy your economy, your competition. If people are oh, you can only work this many hours now. It's like, good luck competing with a guy who's now going to work 60 hours a week, right? Good luck competing with a country that allows that. You're just going to be fucking yourself. So, if people want to be happier, we just need to go back to what is we are biologically prone to like, right? And this shouldn't be that complicated. It really shouldn't be. We are animals just like any other animal. And a lot of things that make them happy will make us happy too. And that happens to be children and raising children and being in their children's lives. It's like, why do you think they're more depressed? Because if they do have a kid, now they're spending a lot of time working, and now they miss out on seeing their kid grow up and all this shit, and they're gonna grow up with tons of regrets, not being able to see them say their first word or hear their first word or anything like this. Some nanny is gonna be doing it instead, and your kid is gonna get an emotional attachment with a nanny instead of the mother because she is working somewhere else. And then you're gonna get a new nanny, so that emotional relationship will be destroyed, and now they're gonna have to form a relationship with another nanny, and now people are wondering why all these kids are so fucked up nowadays. It's because everybody's working, because we've been convinced by these communists that, oh, work for the state, go and work, it's great, it's fun. And it's like, that's not the case. Throughout most of history, most work has been pretty horrible, and men would have loved to have stayed home and not go to work in these dangerous ass conditions that they're risking their life, right? Like, a lot of men died brutally and horribly working throughout the centuries, whereas women didn't have to do what they had to do. So, this whole men were privileged and shit because they get to work is bullshit. We see the results. Women are more and more depressed, and they're working more and more and more. So we need to go back to our roots. And, I'm not saying we need to make everybody work like dogs and anything like that. Men can work like dogs, and they don't need to see their families, because, men need to see their families too. They don't need to work like slaves either. But we still can't take away the thing that allows people to compete on the free market, which is their time. And creating a nanny state and being like, oh, well, because women can't keep up with you, we're going to force you to work less, so then everybody feels good about themselves. But, everybody will feel good about themselves, or some people will, but then your society will go to shit. You won't be able to pay for the fucking social programs that you want to sustain and keep going, because what's the point? What incentive will people have to work hard? When you set these restrictions on people will have no incentive. It just makes no fucking sense. These people do not understand basic economics or anything like that, and they're blinded by their SJW feminism, or they're just actual Marxists who know exactly what they're doing, and they're trying to destroy the system little by little, and they're playing our resentments against each other. They're playing this identity politics against each other, saying oh, well, women, see, they're oppressed, and, we need the state to come in here and fix this. So, yeah, you're being played by this. Women are not oppressed. They're not, they don't have it way worse than men. They didn't have it way worse than men in history either. There are some things, obviously I'm not for taking away their rights or anything like that, but let's be honest here. Men have had it pretty shitty too, and nobody seems to give a shit about them, right? We're pretty disposable. Our rates of suicide go up and all this shit. People don't care. They laugh, right? They're like, oh, we're not on top anymore. You just can't handle it. So, it's funny to see them expect us to have sympathy, but at the same time, it's like, I do have sympathy, because women, they are being convinced to do things they are not biologically prone to do. And like I said before, I'm not saying we need to be traditionalists and shit. I think some people don't need to have kids, or they don't want them, and they prefer working, and that's fine, right? But we need to understand that we are animals, and that a lot of the things that were true 100,000 years ago are still true today with us. And all of this social planning and changing everything to try to make everything equal and equity and stuff, it's never going to work. It's always going to end in disaster. And it's just going to embolden authoritarianism, because the only way you can ever achieve equity is with a state coming in like it's doing now and trying to socially engineer or repress other people, saying, all right, well, you can't work anymore. You have to work less, do less. So then other people can do just as much as you, and we're all the same. We're all equal, which is anybody with a fucking brain knows that's not the case. We all grew up with siblings. We can look at our siblings and be like, okay, we're all birthed from the same parents, but we're all pretty fucking different. We're all raised pretty much the same, but we're all pretty fucking different, you can, even if we're all the same gender, you can see the differences. So to assume that humans are just equal and we can make things equal, it's destructive, and it's going to have a destructive effect on society, and it's not going to help anybody. But that's all I pretty much had to say. If you like my content, subscribe and have a good day. See ya.